everybody? Welcome to the Night Attack Happy Hour, the last of the week, and it is the first from Oakland as we are still putting together everything that's happening down there in Austin, Texas, which is where Brian's joining me. How you doing, Brian?
Really, really good. And of course, we have a special guest from the Ice Cream Social. We got Matt Donnelly, who is very, very cozy, calling us from bed. I assume there's going to be sexy chat and possibly a massage.
I threw out my back like an hour ago.
Oh, no.
Oh, Jesus.
So, okay. All right. Before you answer, real quick side action, Justin.
Yeah.
Let's make bets on just how dumb, like, nobody ever has a good story of how they threw out their back.
Yeah.
I'm putting $20. Hold on, let me get $20. I'm putting $20 on he sneezed.
Oh, you got 20 on the sneeze? No. I'm gonna go picking up the kid. I'm gonna get something kid related, kid lifting related.
So I guess if I'm gonna make mine a little bit bigger, I'll say biological. Maybe it was a cough instead of a sneeze. Bryce, what say you?
I think his mother stepped on a crack, and we've all had the saying incorrect.
All right, well, here we go. The laid up Matt Donnelly. Please let us know who's heading to the pay window.
So the second floor of this orphanage was on fire, and there's no ladder. So,
Boo! DraftKings is not paying on this action. Boo!
I was putting a toy car battery in my kid's drivable toy.
It's kid related.
Shit! Yes!
Justin wins.
Nice, I got it. Now,
and I feel bad for Bryce because if people know my information, there's no way Bryce was even close. As there's no way my mother would have stepped on a crack.
No, sweet Lord, no.
Yeah, so not that I was going to get all gussied up for you guys, but I did not expect to be super casual. The only fun part about this is my wife made fun of me for buying this old man adjustable, like ergonomic bed with like a remote from the 1980s. And who's laughing now?
Yeah.
I mean, certainly not you for fear of throwing out your back again. Who's mildly chuffing right now? That would be you.
Well,
how are you guys? I miss you guys.
I'll tell you what. I miss you two boys as well. It's good to see you, and I'm glad that you're able to be here on this crazy little experiment that we're doing. I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but it's doing a podcast that's more than one day a week. We found it to be revolutionary since we invented it 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and also like the weird things like everyone's dealing with this different ways, and you're trying to hold on to your sanity in different ways.
Yeah,
I'd say one of my sad points came when I was lying down in bed, and my phone calendar was like, "Hey, do you want to set an alarm for your early flight tomorrow?" And it was the flight to Austin that we weren't doing. And
yeah,
I was like, now I'm sad. Phone.
I actually derived a weird, perverse joy out of the fact that April 5th and 4th turned out to be miserable and rainy. It was a total sour grapes moment where I'm just like, didn't want to have a stupid old picnic that day anyway. Like, I'm glad there's a global pandemic. I'm glad none of my friends are here and we're not doing a live show.
Yeah, man, I don't know. Is it Groundhog Day for you guys? Because I feel like now I'm actually going to change my alarm to "I've got you, babe," just so I can fully steer into the skid. Because like everything is so repeatable, and there's like so little variation that I do feel that's the only thing that has been a major issue.
Yeah, I definitely was like, my wife was like, "You're doing happy hour with those guys today," and I was like, "Right, because today is Friday." She's like, "Yes," and I was like, "Yes." Also, like the first week, I kept reading posts about sweatpants, and I hadn't leaned into that yet.
Yeah.
And now I have, and I was like, "Oh, Yeah, why wasn't I doing this from the beginning? Sweatpants all the way.
I had to give in when because I'm sitting here in this fucking chair for hours every day, right? Like anywhere between 2 and 5 to, on Tuesdays when we do Night Attack and the happy hour, I'm probably in this chair for like 7 hours between editing and everything. And I realized that like my rapidly expanding gut was like just like rubbing up against my jeans. And I was like, fuck this. You want to know what? I'm just like, normally I would take that.
You did not. You just realized there was no point for the belt.
Oh, I don't even have a belt. Fuck that. I don't even have a belt. It's just the fucking jeans. And I'm like, I don't know. Normally I would take that as like, hey man, you got to really fucking get in shape. Like this, now you've all of a sudden like, your guts rubbing up against your jeans. And now I'm like, fucking sweatpants seems like quicker solution. I can solve this with sweatpants.
Everybody in my world, nobody is A, as comfortable, B, possibly excited to put on the COVID-19 as you have been, Justin. I do love that you have derived some modicum of mental health from the acknowledgement that it's like, I got a ways to go. I'm going to eat my way through this thing. Starve a cold, feed a COVID.
Yeah,
constantly.
I paused using my calorie counting app, and at home I don't wear the Apple Watch anymore. And it is doing. I thought it would be helpful because
my Apple Watch. I thought it was an apple.
Yeah.
I was very hungry
because I have had. Those have both caused me a lot of stress in the past few months in terms of like, well, I want to snack, but I can't snack because I got to report to the boss. But now that I don't have them, I'm stressed because I don't have them and I'm not logging all of my stuff. And so maybe in a few weeks or so I will be okay with it, but I can't do both. I can't be under pandemic and be watching my calories.
We should address, somebody in the chat brought up something very important. NCKHW says my ears must be playing tricks on me. Sounds like Brian's not canceling out jury anymore. This is the inaugural broadcast where we're using a gizmo that allegedly. Oh, are we not using that?
No.
But the gizmo's flashing.
Yeah, no. Number one, I thought you were hip to this, Brian. Indeed, NCKHW, your ears are playing tricks on you. However, it will not be for long because we did do a fundamental tech test for Opal going to the puppy. And that worked, and I'm able to very simply mix minus my audio coming back. We were going to use it for this, but for whatever reason, the mix minus, we just couldn't figure it out, and we were just up against it. And we figured we didn't want to be too Icarus-looking motherfuckers in terms of changing where we're broadcasting the happy hour and trying this new tech at the same time. But the fundamental test is real. It's perfect. The lip sync's perfect. The audio quality is the tits, so... Coming soon, next week, the Opal will be live.
This, by the way, Matt, if you're on the outside of this, as you know, Skype is kind of an old, bedraggled.
It sucks shit.
It sucks shit. And especially for comedic timing, where it's hard to do a two-person routine where each one needs to press a button and then end their statement with over. And so we finally investigated how is it that professional institutions deal with this. And so we just dropped $2,000 on this gizmo that will have a two-way full duplex pipe so that we can interrupt each other, and it'll be more like we're live in studio together.
Double two-way.
Two-way. That's right. We can have multiple people.
We can have a guest on there as well.
Oh, wow. That's really impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. And
that's really impressive. You know what we do? Actually record in the same room.
Yeah.
It's us, Ice Cream Social.
But it was a weird thing, for us. We had to figure out whether we were going to commit to that. And it was we've had actually multiple discussions about it as the seriousness of the situation across the globe kept increasing, of like how much that we're going to do this, and actually what you're describing was a thing of like, gosh, unless like it's a huge, we cut each other off so much and so fast that we're like, I really think recording from home might be a disaster if we don't do this right. And so we did agree to make each other part of our bubble, and we do discuss weekly what we're doing to make sure that we can enter the same room with each other.
Yeah,
as we maintain our recording schedule.
This was a discussed issue between you guys of like, are we all cool? Everybody, like the nuclear launch codes, everybody turned the key at the same time and said, we ride or die together, literally, and then we're all going to just physically be in the same room.
Yeah. And then what are we doing? So we have to be honest with each other about what our social circle is. Like we tell each other how often we went to the grocery store. We tell each other all kinds of stuff to make sure that we're copping to each other. And then we have, Lysol and wipes and everything. Everything is just bombed.
It's got to be.
I'll tell you what. It helps that you guys have your own little biodomes that now you kind of retreat to, because Mattingly is a hermit by practice. No matter what. You have a family.
Least concern is for Paul Mattingly, for sure.
Yeah, you have a family, so you have to take care of that. And Jacob has this weird, a Playboy mansion meets hunting lodge thing that he has purchased on the outskirts of town that is ridiculous, and he'll never leave, right? It has everything that you would ever want. I have to say, and fingers crossed that everything is cleared out enough that Scoopfest is unaffected, because I am very excited for people to see Jacob's Kitchen. Jacob's Kitchen is a ridiculous monstrosity. Brian, have you ever seen a contraption that is only built for boiling pasta?
I'm sorry. Walk me through this. I'm trying to picture the most ridiculous way to boil pasta that I could think of, and outside of a Modern Rogue episode, I'm coming up with nothing.
So you just have this gigantic, aluminum brick, right? That's next to a professional grade range stove, like a kitchen grade range stove.
With a grease trap and everything.
Yeah, it's insane, right? And then you just open up this gigantic empty aluminum thing, and you realize that it's hooked into the water, so it fills up. It has a little drop-in thing, so you drop in your pasta as it boils to super hot temperature immediately. Your pasta's boiled. You take it out of as if the fryer trap thing, and then the water drains out of a drain that is at the bottom of it. So you're never dealing with a pot of boiling water to boil pasta. It is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life.
Question. First place my mind went to, how's it do with ramen? Is it somehow better? Is this going to make better Maruchan?
I mean, there's only one way to find out, Brian, and it's for us to go to Jacob's weird Playboy mansion meets hunting lodge.
So Matt and I were talking a couple of days ago, and I didn't realize what a weird word this felt like to me. Obviously, everybody is in kind of a messed up situation. People are working from home, but as an entrepreneur, I know that some opportunities have pulled back or delayed or whatever. But Matt, it really struck me that you said the words, "We all got fired." And in that moment, I literally didn't understand what that phrase meant. like the very concept of having, kind of one primary place to one primary gig or whatever. Your biggest gig is furloughed or whatever.
Yeah. No, I have multiple jobs, but I got fired from multiple jobs. Yeah. I think the strangest thing for us as a Las Vegas-based podcast was realizing the rest of the world wasn't, So reading the figures of unemployment is up to 17 million. It's a record. All that sounded tame to me because I was Vegas is just done. It's just done. So the figures all look every time I read the most dire record-breaking economic disaster articles, I'm wow. This all reads better than I thought it would from my expectations and from walking up and down my street. where like we're all just unemployed and like waving at each other from the front yard. It's a crazy time in Las Vegas for sure.
I mean, it's got to be weird to have the Strip be as quiet as all the other streets that aren't the Strip, right? Like that.
Oh yeah.
Vegas, when you get out of the Strip and downtown, it's actually a very quiet. It's like the quietest city that you know the name of, because it is very residential, very very quickly. But now it's just everything. I mean, everything comes in on some level, one way or another, from tourism, and now that just doesn't exist.
Yeah, totally. And then what's even weirder is to track places that are reacting slower than Vegas, right? So Vegas is not the most progressive town, you know. As I darkly
I mean, I beg to differ. Like, I've seen those progressive slots up to $1 million for a penny.
So basically, like for the governor to react like he did and lock down Vegas as quickly as he did was almost strange, because I'm just so used to Nevada not being the most fast to react to anything. And then when you realize the whole town is based on people traveling, every time a state is like, well, I don't know, I'm almost like, you motherfucker, you're delaying my recovery. You're like, well, Vegas can't start up until the last dude comes in. You know what I mean? To the last lazy fuck finally listens to the teacher. Like, that's where we're at.
I mean, although I'll tell you what, and I might be willing to throw these dice, to use a Vegas metaphor, but man, it's never going to be cheaper to get the most balling suite like in Vegas. The second that they open those, the second they open that shit up, it's gonna be like, what? I don't know. What do you have in your wallet right now? 75? We can do it for 75. Like, if you just show up.
For all the people wondering what it was going to take to finally reduce resort fees, we figured it out.
Oh, you want to resort? What, bro? We don't even know what you're talking about. Come on in.
Come on in. Enjoy the Wi-Fi and the gym.
This makes me want to. I'm sure there'll be some particular day where they open up gaming again, but like I want to get in 2 days before gaming is opened, to where it's like and do exactly that. Like, your best suite, sir. The tables aren't even open. Don't care. Just want to brag. Like, I just want to show up and be there.
I'll tell you the strangest thing. Like, we talk about things that you don't account for, or things that are counterintuitive for the pandemic versus security, right?
Yeah.
Slot machines don't have breakers, right?
Breakers.
Gotcha.
I thought you meant breaks, like the action just keeps coming. These slot machines are
the
so
pulse
loose.
pounding action of Las Vegas slots never sleeps.
You get the full seat, but you'll only need the gas.
You can't even hit the brakes because there are none.
No, I'm saying something so much more boring than what you guys are doing.
That's fine. That's fine.
It's almost though, as though you're implying like the slot machines are have achieved independent consciousnesses and they just exist on their own by their own power supply.
No, so since you can't, so you don't want anyone to ever have the power to like just shut a whole casino down. All of the slot machines and stuff all have their own individual on and off switches, so they can't be shut down at the same time. So to shut down a Vegas casino is to walk around and turn the after machine off, and they're going to go and turn machine after machine on.
Oh my God!
That's what it would be like if you were trying to come here 2 days at a time.
Even more surprising, and very few people know this, is each individual machine is programmed to plead for its life before you're able to actually turn it off. It has to make a very logical case for why you're a murderer. But
I'm about to hit.
Yeah. I've been alive since 1961. So Brian, I don't know, Matt, I'm sure knows this, but this is something that kind of illustrates the never say die spirit of Las Vegas. Are you familiar with what's happened with the UFC, Brian?
I am not. I've heard the echoes of what's been going on with the WWE, but UFC is a straight up sport.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they're. I mean, obviously, you can have UFC in just a cage with nobody around. I don't know.
So here's what happened. They had a big fight that they had promoted for a year, really, that was gonna happen in 2 weeks, right, or a week from now, and so this stuff starts happening and everything else is canceling and everyone's saying like, all right, well, no people in the arena and then no events at all. Dana White, UFC's based in Vegas. They are about that show must go on spirit. He's like, nope, I don't care. We're running it. We're going to run it in our garage. And they're like, no, Nevada won't license it, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, all right, fuck it. I'm going to buy a private island and I'm going to broadcast these fights on ESPN's pay-per-view system off our private island. And also, I've talked to the president because he's friends with the president. The president says it's totes cool, so I'm doing it. Fuck all you. I think you might be muted, Bri. Uh-oh.
Jiggle things.
There we go.
I could jiggle it just a little bit. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back now.
Okay.
Place that cord.
Wasn't this the impetus between like the Rumble in the Jungle, where it's like they weren't licensed to do a thing, and so they had a boxing match out in some third world country?
I don't know exactly. I mean, usually these things happen because somebody pays a bunch of money to have it somewhere else. Like, that's why you'll have gigantic fights in, like, Dubai and Saudi Arabia and stuff like that, because somebody wants to show off and has a bunch of money. I don't really know the basics of the Rumble in the Jungle, but
it says here, Rumble in the Jungle was a historic boxing event in Kinshasa, Zaire, on October 30th, 1974, held at the 20th of May Stadium. It pitted the undefeated and world heavyweight champion George Foreman against
Muhammad Ali.
Yes. Yeah.
No, I know. I'm aware of the Rumble in the Jungle. I didn't know whether or not they had to go there.
I was not, as I was setting that up.
Brian, let me explain this to Justin. Justin, Muhammad Ali was a boxer.
Oh.
His name used to be Cassius Clay. Come on.
Well, no. Here's the punchline with the and I just realized that's a pun. With UFC, yesterday, chastened, Dana White, the head of the UFC, has to go on television and say there will be no fight. There will be no Fight Island because the highest rungs of the Disney Corporation had to call him and say, we're not broadcasting your weird island cockfights. Like, we're not going to be in business with this. And so he's like, well, shit. I mean, I got the president on board. I got all the fighters on board. I was going to do it hell or high water, but apparently that's where the buck stops, is the CEO of the Disney Corporation.
There was a time in Disney's history where we certainly would have signed off on the human hunting for sport, but this is no longer that era.
I mean, to be honest, I feel like that's purely a function of humanity just isn't bored enough. I mean, if you give us another 3 months, Disney will very likely reconsider that position.
I think it's because it's so violent. It's because it's so violent, right? Because right now they're going to let these NBA players play horse, which, granted, is not busting each other open and bleeding on each other, but, effectively is as a contagious a situation.
Calls that as part of their shot.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Behind half court, dry cough, fevers and chills, loud droplets, nothing but net.
Elbow you in the eye, spit on it, glass.
Man, how far off do you think we are from somebody getting sued or like criminally? Like, we've seen some misdemeanor stuff happen where people were licking ice creams or whatever. But man, how much more accusational do you think stuff is going to get? Like, what is the wildest bonkers story that we can expect in the next 3 months related to somebody intentionally infecting other people?
If Vegas somehow opens up with pre-vaccine, with temperature check and mask and glove optional Las Vegas. They've been like, oh, you know what? And trying to cough on another person and creating a fight for like, over dumb shit at a Vegas casino.
No, that's the thing. We will know that we are in a post-COVID world, or a world changed by COVID, rather, when at some point on the strip at 1:30 in the morning, you hear Frankie yell to Billy, "Did you just cough on me, bro? Bro, for real, bro."
That's even odds.
Yeah, no, that will happen. That's off the board. There's no way they take action on that. Are you kidding me? The normal shit show fights that happen on the strip fucking every day, 365 Raiders shine? Yes, there will be a COVID flavored version of that within the next 3 months.
100%. 100%.
So how's everybody doing over at Ice Cream Social? Like what are you guys focusing on in a world where the day job things are wobbly?
We are really well. I have 2 children, and they're in pre-K and kindergarten, and so the good news is having to teach 3 days, not my own brain. Like I could still pass pre-K and kindergarten, no problem. With my old man brain. That's how I'm getting by the day to day is maintaining like a Monday to Friday school week and having weekends and weekend activities and privileges has actually been keeping my household pretty that way. I think like if I was alone and watching Westworld, I would be in a very crazy place, right?
I will say, and I don't think we've talked about this on the show, I don't understand how Justin hasn't gone crazy. You being in the smallest apartment of anyone I know, in the most locked down place of any place I know, and having the job that requires you the most to do nothing but read scary headlines all day, every day, and to judge the political spin of who is spinning it more scary than the other guy. I don't understand how you haven't already exploded.
Brian, have you heard of Billy Crystal?
Because do you know about this, Matt? Some people snap and they harm other people. Other people snap and they harm themselves. Justin snapped and decided to launch a new podcast dedicated to breaking down Billy Crystal movies from the 1990s. And so I would say the healthiest breakdown of anybody I can imagine in this situation.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, new episode of Crystal out this week. City Slickers 2, Legend of Curly's Gold.
Spoiler alert. Did John Lovitz add to the experience or take something away?
No, in fact, the back half of the episode is me just kind of telling the tragic tale of Bruno Kirby. Like the fact that Bruno, this is the legend, City Slickers 2. This is Bruno Kirby Erasure should be the subtitle. It's disgusting. But apparently there was also him and Billy Crystal had a gigantic fight and they never reconciled. Bruno Kirby died.
I don't know who Bruno Kirby is. Was he one of the friends from the first one?
He's like he's the friend that instigates the plot in the first one. There's 3 friends. Billy Crystal's the middle of them. There's one of them is the macho guy who
the tall lanky guy who is going through a divorce.
That's Daniel
Simpson.
Stern. Yeah, Daniel Stern. No, Lisa Simpson is the girl that he knocks up that reveals the flaw.
With,
yeah. But Bruno Kirby is the macho guy who's like, he keeps sleeping with younger and younger women and won't settle down.
the guy whose central casting just received an order for union guy, and then he showed up.
Basically. And so he was also his best friend, Billy Crystal's best friend in When Harry Met Sally. And they were friends, and they, obviously did this movie, 2 gigantic hits right next to each other. And then apparently had a falling out. Bruno Kirby never really talked about it. Billy Crystal's loath to even mention Bruno Kirby's name. And Bruno Kirby's career died. He did direct to video stuff, and he had like a role in Donnie Brasco and a voice gig in Stuart Little, and then he died in 2006.
Well, shit.
Here's the funny thing, guys, is that I'm used to listening to you both regularly. And then I'm sitting in my bed with my headphones on. I forgot I was on this podcast for a second. I just was listening to you.
I normally have the reverse thing where I'm listening.
I could just be drifting right off right here.
The thing I always catch myself.
This is just vintage, you guys. Just listen to YouTube break down City Slickers 2 is just a great, wonderful place for me.
Reverse is.
Oh, your mic's.
Jiggle that plug.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
There we go. Sorry. For me, it's usually the reverse, where I get halfway through an ice cream social and I realize there's a version of this where I could also talk to Matt, and so then the phone comes out.
No, I've definitely gotten to the point where I just text whoever I want to talk to, like on Ice Cream Social. I'll just text them as if I'm part of the podcast, totally out of sync, and usually I'll get a response.
But no, we did it as well. I at first wasn't. I didn't want to rush to create anything new because it seemed like everybody's like, oh, immediately made this like two leap of like,
yeah,
some the best art is created under dire circumstances. Yeah, but we haven't let this really take hold. So I don't know if day 2 of quarantine, I'm start recording an album, But then we realized that we had a community and that we are stuck at home. And so we didn't really try to make a lot of public work, but really just leaned into who already listened to us and who's kind of around and stuff. And so we started doing what we call scoop flicks and chills, or like improvised riff tracks on Highway to Heaven. So we started watching Highway to Heaven and making fun of it as if you press play and we make fun of it live with you. And then my wife and I started doing one on our own because we found this really obscure show in like the archives of Netflix called The Messengers, which was only a 1-season show. I think it was meant to be more. I think it's a failed show. It was 13 episodes in 2015. Basically, like this meteor hits Earth, but secretly it's the devil, and he's making these people this crazy. It's like this quasi CW kind of religious action adventure thing that I just love every minute of, and my wife and I just eat it up. So we're doing that as well.
So sorry, you're just watching it, or you're doing a podcast riffing on it?
We're doing a podcast riffing on it.
That's I think what I came to the conclusion of is that I, like you, I mean, at a certain point, you look scanty pants at everybody who wants to play their ukulele on Facebook Live or start a Twitch channel or whatever, and you're like, okay, welcome to the party, guys. Like,
exactly.
But really, what that instinct is because they don't have an audience and it looks sad. We do have an audience, and they're also bored as shit. So it's like, I feel like for us, fucking set, phasers to kill. Fuck it. Like, let's just all go every little bit. And so it's like, when I was thinking about the crystal thing, I'm like, look, number one, I am legitimately going crazy and I'm drinking too much. Number two, for whatever reason, this contemplation of mass death makes me wistful for movies I watched when I was 11. And then number three, like, I can really use it as like a sharpening tool for editing stuff. So it's like, I don't want to do another I don't want to rush out another Raise the Dead thing just because I'm fucking bored. I want to keep that thing, those skills sharp, and also have a little bit less pressure. So I'm like, all right, I'll make, and like the podcast is very barely about Billy Crystal. It's like there's a movie review, and then I talk about another disaster that happened the year that movie came out. So it's like I spend just as much time talking about Kurt Cobain dying as I do talking about Billy Crystal and City Slickers too. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing I think for us is like, number one, more content is better content for people that already like a thing we do. And number two, like if there's another thing that we would like to try and like stretch our legs on and just see how it feels, like now's the time to do it.
I'll tell you what, that's definitely what was going through our mind, where if you were to name one of the core components in the 12-year history of the Scam Nation channel, all the way back to when it launched as Scam School, there's one thing that you could depend on, and it's the fact that Brian Brushwood would be at a bar teaching people how to do magic. Congratulations. Here we are in 2020, and I definitely just showed magic to my 12-year-old.
Yeah.
And also, everybody loves it.
Who was great.
Everybody
She was
thinks
great.
That Josie is just the best thing and should take over for the show.
I watched it this morning and I loved it.
We've had people in the Scam Nation Discord, because we get people in there who think it's like the Modern Rogue Discord, which it's not, because that's a Patreon thing, who have said like, oh, Josie should replace Jason. They're not even the same show. Completely different show.
Look, no. Maybe they're fully aware of it, but it's like seeing that other show, they're already preemptively thinking like, she's great here. Let's get Jason out of the picture.
Oh,
yeah.
I want to think better of these.
Oh no, dude! I'll tell you what. One more episode, and it's gonna be Josie instead of me. I know when. I know what happens.
Josie on Night Attack while we're at it. Sure. And then they start going outside of that bubble. They're all like, why is Ice Cream Social 3 grown men who aren't Josie? It should be 3 copies of Josie.
I'm honestly much more into whatever her opinion of Billy Crystal's movies are.
Yeah. Just wait until she reviews Forget Paris, because it's gonna be a fucking barn burner.
Man, what are you going to do when you get to analyze this?
Stop doing a fucking podcast about Billy Crystal. That's what I'm going to do.
Did you say analyze this?
Analyze this.
I heard. Did I hear it right? I heard analyze.
You know what?
Is that worth analysis?
Anal lies. It's where a butthole tells non-truths, and then about this.
Hey, by the way,
Brian, are you showing your daughter the porn version of Billy Crystal movie?
You know what? I just clicked on the first thing that came up. I didn't hang around. You know, I saw something. The word crystal, Metty Crystal, I guess was the name I saw. I left.
Elite Crystal.
I do want to point out Bryce Neshcom Castillo and his anal lies will not affect the fact that he is live tonight. With video games with Bryce, and you're playing the new Final Fantasy, right?
Yeah, Final Fantasy VII Remake came out today, and I'm going to be playing through it on Twitch, 7:00 Central.
Am I right in understanding that the new Final Fantasy is secretly an old Final Fantasy?
Yeah, I mean it's a remake of Final Fantasy VII.
That was the one I played. That's the one with the chocobos and the backgrounds. And...
It's with the reactors.
Yeah. And it was you had essentially like matte paintings and the crazy spiky and the big sword. And,
that's right.
Yeah.
And now it's all full 3D. I don't know how much you played of it.
I got almost to the end. I played it. This is PS1 back in the day, right?
So you know the kind of whole first section that takes place in the city?
Yeah.
This game is that section of the story, but 40 hours long. Like they are doing it in installments, which I hear it's great. I hear it's really fleshed out. Because look, man, when they were pumping out those are JRPGs back in the day, and they had to be 60 hours, like stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff that just like got like left out. And so I have played the demo. The demo seems cool. It seems like it fleshes out a lot of characters who were never in the story. So I'm looking forward to it.
I mean, wait, hold on.
You said. You said a lot of words. Yep. All I heard was, Brian Brushwood, you should experience no guilt for refusing to participate in this in any way. and that's all I felt.
And a lot of people will be like that, right? It's the package says Final Fantasy VII Remake, not Part 1 or The City, right? It should, I think morally it should, because there are a lot of people. But to hear it from reviewers, it is a very, very good telling of this, and that is like the most iconic part of that story is the Midgar section.
So wait a minute, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't they literally just making the same mistake that The Hobbit did, where they just took sections and they blew it up past
too long, spread them out too wide?
I mean, if you feel like The Lord of the Rings was also a mistake.
No, but those were 3 books.
No.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Those were 3 books. The Hobbit's 1 book that's shorter than any of the 3 Lord of the Rings books that they then separated into 3 movies.
Also, if anything, Lord of the Rings did it the right way, where they cut out giant chunks of boring ass singing. They made the book. They're like, what's the dumb parts? Let's take out Tom Bombadil. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I think that analogy only works when we know what the second part will be, because that's the really annoying thing, is we don't know when the next part of this game will come out, how it will come out, what it will cover. My understanding is that the end of this remake game is a bit of a divergence from the actual story. So
separate video game question.
I am positive on it.
Since we have Matt, who I know loves video games.
You know me.
Oh, that's 7 Central tonight.
When is The Last of Us coming out?
It's been delayed indefinitely.
I don't like that.
It's because they could not get printing and manufacturing done. Video Games with Bryce email readers found out about the.
It's because people can't physically buy the game. That's why, and they need to make that money.
Yeah, and they didn't. The game wasn't finished. Like that was the other thing, is like they're expecting it to be finished for a May release, but it wasn't. And if it had gone gold already and it was ready, I think we could have seen it maybe. But retail is so important for story games like this.
Oh my God! I just remembered something that I can't believe we didn't talk about on Tuesday. Have we checked in on what is the latest on the March Madness Billy Joel bracket? Like, do we know who?
Yeah. No, it's over. It's over.
Who won?
Who won?
I mean, do we want to? I guess. Yeah. I guess there. Piano Man. It was Piano Man over Scenes.
What the fuck?
It's
fucking America.
So when things go chalk.
Yeah, I mean, it was so really. I think the biggest challenge was Piano Man versus New York State of Mind, and that was in the semifinal, which I was betting, especially on during a crisis where New York is under, a lot of pressure. And Donnelly, you know this.
Favorite.
Yeah, Donnelly, can you please explain to somebody from the region how much people from New York love songs that say New York in the chorus? Like it is unnatural.
I invite every listener to go look for Andrew WK's New York City. Listen to that song and understand that New Yorkers love that song unironically. Should tell you everything about that.
It's like you knew that Jay-Z had just reached the cash grab phase of his career when he did the New York song with Alicia Keys, because he
literally he came out of retirement.
Yeah.
He already did his last album. He's like, you know what? I'm going to come out of retirement, sing a song about New York, and just double my fortune and go back into retirement.
And that's it. And he's just like, it kind of sucks. But guess what? It'll be played at fucking sporting events forever. And like everybody from the 5 boroughs will just like weep a little bit. No matter how shit the song is, it says New York in the verse, goddammit. Fuck out of here.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's the strangest. All that's so strange. Like, there's such a badge of honor to just facilitating life day to day in New York, if you've ever done it at all, that there's such a pride to it that you never want to let it go.
Yeah.
So even if you've lived in New York for like 2 years and someone brings up New York, you're like, oh, I lived in New York. Whereas like if you move out of Vegas and people bring up Vegas, you're not quick to be like, I lived there. Yeah. Like it's like you just go on with your tales of that, or if someone brings up Ohio, like, I'm fucking Ohio, motherfucker. It's just not the same deal. But there's such a sense of pride. So anything that can like make you feel like that badge of honor of like, I got through the day to day of that city. So that song comes in, I'm a veteran of New York.
But yeah, I thought New York State of Mind had a shot to take it down. It didn't. And then Piano Man versus Scenes is kind of a mismatch, because like I think Scenes from Italian Restaurant is like beloved by Billy Joel kind of like super fans, but Piano Man is, I mean, that's the thing. He's the piano man. He plays a fucking piano.
Man, we're creeping up on the end of the hour here. What else? I guess we got a couple of days off. What should everybody experience over the weekend that now that everybody has nothing but free time? Are you watching anything particularly interesting, Matt?
Aside from The Messengers?
I'm doing just Westworld, Better Call Saul, and Killing Eve are my 3 shows.
Okay, can we talk about Justin has not been watching Westworld. Me in general, I don't love petting rattlesnakes. They tend to bite, and I swore that I would not pet that rattlesnake, Westworld. But if you wanted to make the sexiest, most pettable rattlesnake, it would look an awful lot like season 3 of Westworld. And I find it's just in my hands. And I guess my hands are moving up and down on it. And I don't know how this is happening. What have you done, Westworld?
I think it's fascinating. I think it's half full of shit, Like, I don't think it's so deep as everyone thinks it is, but at least it's trying to be deeper than the average show. So I like that. If I was younger, if I was watching Westworld now and I was like 20 years old and still into psychedelics and single and that kind of stuff, I would be like eating up every little morsel of fan theory and things like that. But the bottom line is it is HBO's biggest flex show. And so like one of the cool things about it is that like they went all over the world to find these locations that looked at the future to make it less CGI. And I think that effort makes it fascinating to watch because while they are walking around in the future, they also are walking around real places that exist now. And I think that's a fascinating touch and a fascinating flex of the show.
One of the things we talked about on Cord Killers is, my opinion is, man, every second that Aaron Paul is on screen, he just is crushing everybody else involved with that show. Like on an acting
totally.
level, like it's surreal to see like, oh my God, what would Westworld have been if he was there from the beginning?
And also, like, is there a thing, and not to do, this is a big spoiler, but is there any actor that we want to watch suffer dramatically more on screen than Aaron Paul? Like, if there's someone who can just let a vein pop out of their neck and eyebrow while they scream, and then you just root for them and you think
it's as though Aaron Paul shows up, the first words out of his mouth are, "I am in pain," and America's zipper comes down.
Yeah.
like we all can't wait to jerk off to this.
Well, because I think that like he's dumb enough that you understand he's always gonna fucking get himself into something, right? Like, but yet he's likable enough you always care. Like you always know, like he can walk into a room that has no furniture in it but one rake, and he's dumb enough to eventually step on the rake. But when he does, you're like, oh, let's get some ice for you.
Totally. But yeah, I think, and his addition to the cast this year makes the show so much less cerebral. I think the big flaw they've adjusted like from which is they actually have some elements of which they actually had none in season 2. There was like not one thing was ever even meant to make you smirk in season 2, and I think that was a mistake. And so I think they've actually introduced elements of humor besides sharing the world, and then bringing Aaron Paul to actually have like a three-dimensional actor processing things instead of just much fake macho stuff is nice as well.
Yeah, I'll watch it eventually, but I just got so tired with the mystery boxes that contain 4 other mystery boxes that are arranged in a pattern that is there to evoke a mystery box. Like it just kind of got tiresome after a while.
Oh, for sure. I definitely went into season 3 knowing full well I did not understand the finale of season 2. That I was like, don't get it. Read 10 articles. None of it gave me a clarity at all.
Yeah.
Gave me no sense of who I was rooting for, rooting against. And then I just saw the preview for Westworld 3, and I was like, oh, that looks really cool. I'm in.
I have an active text thread with Tropics,
Evan and Rachel Wood.
Our friend Tropics.
Oh, got it.
Carson. And we don't even have to have the formalities of it anymore. We are only texting each other about devs. And it had been that we unabashedly hate it. But this week's episode, I was watching it and I couldn't decide if I loved it or hate it, if I thought it was genius or really, really hacky.
I loved last week's episode. And it was as if they were like, let's dummies watch this show too. you gotta bring it down to a place where the dummies can watch the show. They were like, as if the arm was like wrenched behind the back. They're like, fine, we'll do a very obvious thing. It's like, okay, I can keep track of that.
Yeah, and like finally something happens in the show. They spent the previous episode hyping up like, hey, something's gonna happen, and we literally don't know what. And so this episode was like everything up to that thing happening, but it is really cool, and it is like the show finally starting to ask things about, say, multiverses or many worlds theories versus deterministic stuff. Like now it's fascinating. I think now is a good time to jump onto devs because there's only one episode left, and it's got to be good.
Can I?
Please,
hold on. There we go. I don't know if this is working or not.
You good?
There we go.
You're good.
If I could make it a confession, we're finally getting Penny to watch The Good Place all the way through the end, and simultaneously we had been watching Parks and Recreation, and of course, we like The Office and so on. But man, The Good Place does so much going back and repeating itself that it makes it very taxing to rewatch the series.
Yeah.
Where it's like everything you're not seeing for the second time, because by virtue of having completed it the first time, you've already watched everything 20 to 30 times. And then
it's formulaic. They are long formulaic seasons.
Yeah. It's there's a lot of going back.
How far did you make it in?
Well, we're continuing through. I think we're midway through season 2. Season 2 is when finally it seems to progress and move forward, Yeah.
Well,
So
but that's the danger of having a story that actually matters in a sitcom, which was kind of the groundbreaking part of The Good Place, is that there was a very important through line for everything, whereas like normally a sitcom kind of sucks you in because every episode kind of starts the same and kind of ends the same with maybe one or two major shifting narratives. I will say this. We got through like 5 episodes of the final season of Schitt's Creek. We've got like 5 episodes or 6 episodes left. Holy shit. Are they... I don't know if a comedy ever ended stronger than Schitt's Creek, at least.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's on my list of things to start. My wife is up to current, and she even said she doesn't want to watch the last season until I catch up because it's so good. She's basically like, you have to watch all of it. We're going to watch the whole thing together.
It's fucking great. And also it's like, talk about a show that just cares about character, like, and more than just them being kind of like pieces to move around on a story chessboard. Yeah, well, I mean, like, even to a certain extent, like, there are in Arrested Development, it's like, Lindsay doesn't really change all that much. Like, Lucille doesn't really change all that much. Doesn't make them bad characters. They're fucking hilarious. Like, you really want them to just kind of be doing what they're doing. But Schitt's Creek really commits to these characters kind of growing and evolving, and it's awesome. Like, they just you can tell that there's a lot of love and care that goes into it.
Yeah.
All right. Hey,
that's awesome.
I'll tell you what. I feel like the internet is slowly telling us we need to end this happy hour. Matt Donnelly, of course, Ice Cream Social. Where else can people get everything that you do?
Well, you can check out Ice Cream Social, or I do have my whole like magic podcast thing, which is patron only. If you go to abracababble.com or patreon.com/noodler. I'm going behind the scenes of every Foolus episode I've worked on, and I'm breaking down every single episode from season 2 through 7 on that podcast.
That's
great.
Invaluable resource. If you are a magician and you want to fucking know how to actually be a goddamn professional, listen to Donnelly explain what actual professionals on television do.
Or at the very least, if you want to go and have a successful showcase on Penn and Teller Fool Us, this is the cheat code. Listen to the man who describes everything they're looking for in every episode.
That's the truth. I laughed. There's a guy out there who charges like $3,000 consulting to get people on Fool Us. And I laughed because I was like, I charge like $2 to get access to my RSS.
Yeah.
Feed. And like that guy has been on once, and like it's really crazy. So I guess I should up the cost just on that alone. But and then once you're on board, you can just email me. So like I am the cheapest consultant in the world for that show.
It's so funny. People just have no idea how to fucking work like television. There was a time when I was running iTricks where the producer of America's Got Talent would email me every year and just say, "Hey, looking for magicians. Just point me, send me videos that you're aware of people just because I cover it." And he's on Twitter. He's got like 30 followers. Meanwhile, you go to like Nick Cannon, who was hosting at the time, and it's like fucking millions of followers, and everything he posts is "Get me on America's Got Talent." And I'm seeing like magicians that like I know that are like, Nick, where should I go? It's like, you fucking idiots.
And like, yeah, like Penn on Penn Sunday School, which who knows what's going on there. And then, but he remembers getting prepared by Jet Tila to a cooking competition, celebrity cooking competition. Yeah. And he said, like, there's cooking, great meals at home, and there's cooking on television for TV judges, and a lot of it is like literally trimming out every single thing that isn't like the single best bite and throwing it aside and only giving the actual best tasting bite and the thing that actually tastes the best at the top and will finish out for like the time that it has with the best taste in its mouth. And it's actually because we just went back and actually, Brian, we went over your episode.
Whoa!
Little touches at the top.
Oh, hold on. We got a bit of a Skype lag there. I heard as far as you went to the episode that I was on.
Yeah. You made a lot of choices at the top of that act that leaned into some of the choices you had to make for that trick that I didn't remember from memory. So you have your open briefcase of $1,000 bills to choose from at the top of that thing, which, from a actual like magic perspective or whatever, may not be the craziest deal. But to open up a shot on television to a guy sitting next to an open briefcase of bills before he does a bill trick is like,
oh, I'm so glad you dug that.
Cooking for television, like it's just like cooking for television. Like those little touches don't do much from a magic nerd perspective, but do a ton from I'm watching television with my children perspective.
Yeah.
And also it's no accident. That's my dad's briefcase that I love because it looks like every briefcase full of money from every drug deal you ever saw in the 80s. And it's like that was all intentional. I'm glad that landed and held up.
Yeah. It was cool. It was a lot of cool touches on it.
Dude, that's great. All right, happy hour. Put this one in the books. We'll see you guys, 48 hours from now on Monday?
Yeah.
72 hours.
Video games.
Oh, shit. No.
7 Central.
We'll see you in minutes.
Hours, 2 hours, 7 o'clock Central.
7 o'clock Central. Come on back. Twitch.tv/Night Attack. For Brian Brushwood and Matt Donnelly, I'm Justin Robert Young. See you later. Happy hours.